Hi, this is Brandon from the Kaffe Fassett studio in London. Midsummer, it's gorgeous weather we're having. It's we don't have air conditioning in the UK, so we're really feeling the heat. Anyway, I'm delighted to be able to talk to you about my latest collection, which will be hitting the shops this August 2022. And have I got a blast of colour for you guys to play with? Well, hopefully. Anyway, so here we've got the layout of my contribution to the Kaffe Fassett Collective. You might have seen sneak previews of these on social media, but I'm going to be talking to you about where I've picked up inspiration and showing you a couple of the fabrics opened up so you can see them as big pieces and big drops. If you want more information or more visuals on these, go to brandonmably.com or my social media platforms. That's Brandon Mably Designs on Facebook, or on Instagram, it's simply Brandon Mably. Okay, starting off here, we have these designs were actually painted out 16 months ago. It's amazing to think that we've actually used these fabrics in the quilts that we're designing for the next book that will be launched this time next year, and that will be our 25th edition of the P&Q books. Anyway, the book that we're launching next month at the Festival of Quilts in Birmingham will be a book called Quilts in Wales, which will be using our latest range of fabrics, which you guys have hopefully already seen. And these quilts are recipes that we've put together of the fabrics to hopefully inspire you to have a go, and then share with everybody so they can see what everybody else has been up to. So I'm going to start here talking about this first design, which is a series of stripes and dots. Now, I love repetition, and I don't like straight lines. So here I've done these wide stripes with dots of big, large dots. I just put my paint in my brush in the paint and just dotted them down the fabric, so they look like raindrops on the window screen, or they look like rivers, and these are trees on the side of the river and so forth. I've done 6 different colorways in this fabric. Actually, this colorway I had a shirt made of, and it is really handsome. I should have worn it. I'm sure some of you think that I never get out of the shirt I'm wearing, but it just happens to be one of my favorites at the moment. We all like a bit of blue. So yeah, I've done quite a hard contrast of cool pink and blue, powder blue, and then this electric blue against this hot cherry red, and then a saffron orange against this smouldery plum purple, lovely aqua blue for the cool teal ladies, and then this really hot jazzy number to go with the black and white quilts that we're doing. Kaffe is loving playing with this fabric. He says that it's very, very useful and quite intriguing to see when it's cut up and placed in different angles. So don't be afraid of getting a chunk of this fabric and incorporating it in with your quilts. Okay, so here I've called this design Brawlies. On the table, there's only 4 colorways because I'm wearing the 5th colorway. I'm just a walking billboard. In the UK, we call umbrellas Brawlies. And Kaffe and I were in Japan one year, and we were at the Tokyo Dome Quilt Festival, and we looked out of the window, and there was just a river of umbrellas that were just lined up outside the convention center. Of the repetition of these circles and these colorful patterns just spoke to us big time. And for years, we both of us wanted to play with that idea and that structure. Anyway, I got there first, but I pulled it down to just keep it quite graphic, and also I kind of like the idea of when it's circles and stripes, and it has its own, it kind of looks like zebras when they're folding themselves for a sleep. But I just love the idea of just keeping it quite sharp and graphic. So when you cut this, you have lots of different options, and you can see how dramatic that pattern is. This would make a fabulous skirt or a shirt. Anyway, to fill in the little blank areas, I just put in a little bit of the central colour. And I'm really excited about how this fabric is going to be used. We've already started playing with it, and it just takes on a totally different personality when it's cut up. You got the yellow and purples, you got the smoldery reds offset with the blues, and then you got the lovely deep blue against these apple greens, and that would go beautifully with, look at how the teal blue works with those apple greens. So I'll leave it up to you to play with those color combinations. This design is, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 colorways to play with. Incredibly useful for binding, for sashing, and also what I'm really pleased is that the way that it works, rather than the set computerized stripes that are on the market, this one here is just allowing the paint to come through with its own personality. So there's a primitive movement in the way that I've painted out this series of stripes, and it comes through really nicely on a design when it's cut up and used. And you can see all the different colorways with that I've given you to play with. One of my favorite places to travel is New Zealand. New Zealand is, I mean, it just gives you time to think when you're there. The landscape is so incredibly beautiful. And this design, and really it's a homage to New Zealand. I love the way that the foliage is there, and particularly the ferns. And this design is just taking a series of those fern leaves and then interlocking them. I also love a design that Kaffe has played with many times, which is a paisley pattern. And so when I painted out this design, I had the designs interlock as if they were paisleys, keeping the design down to just 2 different colors, so it's nice and graphic. And you see when that cuts up, it'll be really playful and intriguing. And so this should be useful in lots of different mediums. I mean, the applique designers will love it. I mean, I know for one, Kathy Doughty in Material Obsessions is going to have a field day using this design, I hope. Again, there should be 5 different colorways using this design. I've gone for a really high acid yellow against a black, then a cool powdery blue next to an off-white, and then down here this is kind of a cool magenta against a saffron orange, and there should be a little bit of something for everybody in there. And then last but not least, I am mad for plaids, and Kaffe loves big and bold, and so he encouraged me to do a plaid which had real attitude and stature. And so sat down and did my own plaid pattern, where here we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different colorways, and I cannot tell you how intriguing this cuts up when it's cut up. We've just used it as an inner border for a quilt, and we've cut it up by just doing large squares rather than using a strip of it, and therefore it's more cost effective. And then when it's cut up in large squares, the panels run in different directions, and it has just a fantastic dance. I'm really pleased with it. And then when I put the color combination together, I wanted to have a little bit of pop. So you have this wonderful smoldery orange against this cool plummy magenta, and then you have this wonderful chocolate brown against these cold fern greens and electric blues. And so it's and then something down here for those who are enjoying working with pastel tones. This one reminds me of one of my favorite artists, which is called Deepencorn, who came from San Francisco. And this actually is very much San Francisco colors.
Or Huntavasa.
Oh, well, thank you very much. There you go. You can hear the voice of my cameraman. So we're keeping at it. We're now designing for 2024. It's kind of a little bit overwhelming, but anyway, I'll be delighted when these fabrics are out for you guys to play with, and I look forward to hearing your response. I'm sure Philip Jacob will be talking about his contribution to the Kaffe Collective, and we look forward to seeing how he talks those up, because those are the colorways that Kaffe has done on his fabrics. And then Kaffe will be doing a separate talk about his new colorways on fabrics that he's done for the collection too. Later on in September, we'll be opening an exhibition at the Fashion Textile Museum near London Bridge Tube Station. So keep in tune with us for that, and more details are online. Also, we'll be opening an exhibition at Headcote Gardens in the Cotswolds. So if any of you are visiting England and want a couple of tips, so there's lots going on. If you're coming to the UK next year, we have an exhibition at the Victoria Galleries in Bath. So keep tuned and look forward to hearing from you as we go along.